Let's look at the last conversion situation that we might have if we're working with fractions, decimals, and percents, and wanting to express equivalences within those, or among those various systems. Here, let's take a look at how do we convert a percent into its equivalent amount as a fraction. And there are a couple of different ways to do this, but I'm going to suggest a way to you that if you always do it this way, then you're consistent and you know this is always what I'm going to do. Rather than trying to teach you, okay, if the number looks like this, do it this way. If the number looks like this, do it this way. I'm just going to suggest one way that works for all of the percents. And that's to first convert the percent to a decimal, then go from decimal to fraction. And if you recall, when you're converting a percent to a decimal, in our frogs drink Pepsi fractions decimal percent chart, we're moving to the left. So that means we move the decimal point to the left and drop the percent sign. So 35% as a decimal is 35 hundredths. Well, now I can write what I read as a fraction. What did I just read? 35 hundredths. So this fractional equivalent becomes 35 over 100, and when I then reduce it, both of those numbers are divisible by 5. 5 goes into 35 7 times. 5 goes into 120 times. So the fractional equivalent of 35% is 7/20. So let's suppose you read 35% of the students at Southern State are married. Then that means if you were to get 20 Southern State students at random, bring them into the room, you would expect that 7 of those students would be married. If indeed it's true that 35% of the student body at Southern State is married, then you would expect that 7 out of 20 students that you would pick at random would be married. This is the fractional equivalent of that percentage. If we wanted to convert 52% to its equivalent as a fraction, first convert it to a decimal. Then write what you read, 52 hundredths, tenths, hundredths. 52 hundredths. Reduce that fraction. Both of those are divisible by 2, which would give us 26 over 50. But both of those numbers are again divisible by 2, which would give us 13 over 25. So if we said 52% of the students are thus and such, that would be like saying 13 out of 25 of the students are thus and such. If I want to convert 8.5% to its equivalent as a fraction, first move the decimal point 2 places to the left, forming the equivalent decimal number. Then write as a fraction what you read as a decimal, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So this is 85 thousandths. That would be 85 over 1,000. And when we reduce that, both of those numbers are divisible by 5. 5 goes into 85 17 times. 5 goes into 1,000 200 times. So 8.5% is the same as saying 17 out of 200. You're expressing the same quantity. 37.5%, again, first of all, change it to its equivalent as a decimal. 375 thousandths. Write what you read, and then reduce that fraction. And 375 over 1,000 would reduce to 3/8. So if we can just remember this fraction decimal percent chart, that chart can help us if we have to convert from one form of number to the other. And just remember, frogs drink Pepsi.